What is up, Rad Potential YouTube? It's time for Cannonball Run Rotary Record Edition number 2. All right, Chuckles, it is 3:10-ish in the morning. I don't know, it's very cold. It's November in New York.
It's cold.
And we're gonna depart here. We're at the Red Bull Garage at exactly 3:30 on the nose, Eastern time. So we've got a few minutes to kind of get all the cameras, everything set up. We're topped up with fuel, topped up with food, mostly full on sleep, but I think we'll be all right. And I'm looking forward to being at 7 stock very soon. It's always surreal when you do get here. Just the city is still alive at 3 a.m. There's a lot of stuff going on, especially when you're not around here. Construction too. The Lincoln Tunnel's down to 1 lane, so hopefully we can still get through there relatively efficiently. You're definitely not going to win the Cannonball on the beginning, but you can definitely lose it.
Yeah.
And just there's a lot of characters around NYC at 3 a.m., you know?
Yeah.
And potholes in the roads. But there's just a certain vibe when you get here, knowing that you're going to do a full run like what we're going to do, you know? Car's a little heavy. It's early in the morning.
Heading into some storms.
We're heading into a storm, literally. An actual storm, and nothing ever goes exactly how you plan it. So if we're ready for it, adapt and survive. That's the goal. But 2,807 miles to go. We'll see y'all along the way. 3:30 a.m. rolled around and we hit the road. We got out of Manhattan in just under 10 minutes, which was ripping, only a few red lights. And as Pennsylvania and daylight came upon us, we ran into our first issue, where my battery stopped charging. We were down to 11 volts. Fortunately, I had a spare alternator, so it's time to swap that out. Topped it back on with fuel. I swapped the alternator out. Record timing. The alternator just quit. I don't know why. If you do remember, it was pumping like 15 volts. So now we've got the crusty alternator in there. Everything seems okay otherwise. Nothing's melting, nothing's leaking. I think we're like 400 miles in. Just out of Pennsylvania, or getting ready to be out of Pennsylvania. So, little bathroom weight reduction and we're back on the road. Alternator's charging at 13 volts, and of course, my transfer fuel pump from the big tank to the little tank has decided to burn up. Man, you can just smell that pump.
Yeah.
Did you have an end in this?
To my hand.
Okay.
I didn't want to lose it in those.
That's a smart move. Not just a I don't have power. Did you put it in the right hole?
The only other hole.
You call it the trigger wire fuse. I need this one in there. Okay, that's in a perfect place to cause all the sparks. And we need to not crush this with stuff. That's the main issue here. And our fire safety blanket.
Our fire safety plastic.
Yeah, our fire safety plastic. Alright, well, that's my sleeping bag I want to sleep on. At this point, we're about 45 minutes off pace for our 30-hour goal. We got back on the road and started pushing pretty hard through the Midwest. Now, this is where we ran into some traffic, but ultimately we ran into a giant thunderstorm on the backside of St. Louis. We spent 5 hours driving in the rain, and this literally slowed down the trip completely. We tried to make up some time and ultimately had a run-in with the law. Smokey and the Bandit style, though, we did get out of this very quickly. We took our ticket, got back on the road, and at this point we decided that the risk versus the reward was not there, and we were just going to cruise into California and make it there safely as goal number 1. Well, at this point, the Cannonball Run did not go as expected. What you guys saw of our journey was about a 36-hour, 37-hour Cannonball Run record attempt, which is nothing to be ashamed of. That's still a pretty fast Cannonball Run. However, our last one was a lot faster, and we were really wanting to break under that 30-hour mark. So to put it into perspective just a little bit, we were stuck around an average speed on this run of about 78 to 79 miles per hour. In order to run under 30 hours, we really need to be a good chunk above 90, and our average speed, so that's distance over time, 2,800 miles divided by your time. Basically, that's the goal, that number. The super fast guys, you know, Arnie, Doug, Ed Bullion, all those guys crushing it well into the 20, 25, 26 hour mark. Trust me, you think that's easy until you get out there and try it. So we're here back at the shop. I've got the car, and I want to just kind of walk through with you guys a few of the issues that we ran into and things that I would change. And ultimately, the car was perfect. We didn't have a single issue with the car that couldn't have happened to anybody else's Cannonball car. The Rotary did not give us any specific issues aside from just like excessive premix oil consumption and, you know, lots of fuel consumption. But I'd love to ask them what they get in their E63 and their Audis as far as miles per gallon, because I feel like our 13-ish MPG is pretty good. However, the car was flawless. I think the main thing that we needed to change was just the cards that we were dealt. When we started our run on the day that we were going to do it, Thursday's pretty good, chill as far as traffic. A couple weeks before Thanksgiving, not really ideal, but not the holiday traffic. The end of the year, I figured asphalt plants, a lot of your construction would be a little bit less. The construction zones were still there. Not really active construction sites, which is good. But it is storm season, and we just got hit with a storm. When we were starting, we kind of knew that there was a potential chance of rain on our route. We even debated taking the north route instead. However, with it being cold, the north route could probably get a little more sketchy just because snow and ice and a lightweight rear-wheel drive car, plus spirited driving. Ultimately, we're just going to have to try again. That's pretty much it. You know, we can't really blame it on we got pulled over. We can't blame it on our parts failures. We were prepared and had an alternator with us. We had a fuel pump we could swap out that only took about 30 minutes. Like that hour of time we lost, we could have made it up if we were doing much better than we were. So, you know, it takes the whole kit and caboodle. You got to have everything prepared and everything ready for the whole run. You know, I said at the beginning, you're not going to win the Cannonball in the first 10 hours, but you can definitely lose it. The final thing of why we did it this weekend is because there was a giant Rotary car show in California called 7 Stock, and we wanted to go to 7 Stock. So we kind of tried to time our Cannonball with an event so that we knew our 30-hour drive wouldn't be just for the Cannonball. It's hard when you're at, you know, my level. The video that I make for this doesn't cover any of the cost of this. We're doing this strictly because it's fun. So we kind of got to maximize our monetary and time investment here. And it was awesome to go see all of our friends out at 7 Stock. So definitely, you're going to want to subscribe to the channel to go check out that if you're interested in Rotary cars. Also to see this car, which unfortunately, the green RX8 is definitely not going to do any more Cannonball runs, at least in the next 5 or 6 years, because we're going to restore this car. It's getting all painted. And I have some plans to rebuild, or I guess build a new Cannonball car. It's probably going to be a little bit better. They are significantly more rare. We might be driving on the wrong side of the road, but it did come with a Rotary engine, and I think we could fit a big gas tank in the back. So get excited because we're not giving up on the Cannonball, and I have a new goal, still under 30 hours, but with a different chassis because, well, this one's getting repurposed. So let's take a look at this thing up close. I'll show you all the carnage. It is crazy how gnarly a Cannonball affects a car. This thing held up pretty well. The front of your car takes the most beating in one of these Cannonball runs. It's literally 2,800 miles of the run, but also wherever you're at in the United States, you got to drive to New York, which is, you know, however long, and then drive home from LA. So it's 6,000 miles on the car in 4.5 days. It's literally insanity. But the front of the car, I had just actually hit the wall with this car at the racetrack a couple weeks ago. So not a big deal. Hence, you know, we're painting it, not trying to keep it alive, but there is a ton less paint up here than there was before. This is straight up, haven't washed it. I did wipe down the right side because we had to peel off our disguise. Notice the stripes. You're not going to make a successful run having giant orange stripes on your car. So we'd actually covered all of this in black vinyl, which y'all will see in a video where I'm going to take this car back apart and I'll go through all the Cannonball stuff specifically that we did to this in that video. So stay tuned to see the full prep of the Cannonball car. With regards to mechanical, y'all would think Rotary engine, it's going to blow up. There's no way you can drive a Rotary 6,000 miles and have it not blow up, especially one with a giant turbo. The only issue that I had under the hood of this car the whole trip, not excessive oil consumption, fuel mileage was pretty poor, didn't push coolant, didn't run hot, didn't do anything, is my turbo came loose from the manifold. So there's 4 bolts, basically. These bolts right here, you can see that hold the turbo itself. to the turbo manifold. It worked itself loose. We found that out after the run, or I guess really after we had already seceded. So kind of coming into California, New Mexico area, we really were like, hey, we're not going to beat our record. There's not enough risk versus reward, here for us to keep pushing. So we were just cruising, and that's when we noticed that this had come loose. So we were able to get that fixed. We drove it all the way back with 3 bolts in it. It's fine, makes a little less boost, a slight exhaust leak. Not uncommon to blow out a turbo gasket. But mechanically, perfect, flawless. One thing that does suck is the windshield got smoked. And I've got a big old rock chip here. There's another one over there. So my windshield, well, it's a good thing that it's an RX8 and not an FD. I can get windshields, and fortunately, I have windshields, so we'll just put another windshield in it when we have this apart for paint. As far as other, body carnage, we did run over a few big, large road objects, which is unfortunate. The front lip was fine. I'll have to get it up on the lift and actually check the side, the bottom, everything under the car whenever we restore it in the future. Everything out back, this side of the car I didn't wash. Remember, we did this so we could go to 7 stock, which is a huge Rotary car show, and then also do the Cannonball run, which we wanted to, break our record and be under 30 hours. So I actually washed because the stickers, our disguise had to come off. If you look on the hood, you can see the sharp line, which was the black vinyl I'd put over it. And for the show, we had to be at least somewhat clean, but we did have one of the coolest stories there, having just done a Cannonball run to get to 7 stock. As far as actual carnage, really there wasn't that much, but I'll show y'all just, the fuel cell back here, everything worked great. We didn't have any leaks, so that was a big win. Coming around to the trunk, didn't have any leaks back here. We did burn nearly 3 gallons of premix. Okay, so my car, I was having some issues with the oil metering pump. I couldn't get it to work with the Haltech. I think I've got a wiring problem. We'll diag that in the future, but 3 gallons of premix. So every time we stopped for fuel, and we had our stops down to around 7 minutes or so, which is relatively fast, 7 to 8 minutes, when we didn't have to change an alternator or fix my fuel pump that wasn't working. We were putting in 1 ounce per gallon of premix as we filled up with gas. So what that means for the non-rotary guys is the oil metering pump injects oil into the engine to lubricate it like a 2-stroke. And when you disable that, you have to add that oil. Otherwise, the engine's definitely not going to last that long. So every time we fill up 50 gallons or so, we're putting 50 ounces of oil into the fuel, and then that lubricates the engine as it gets squirted in with the fuel injectors. It's a Rotary thing. You just have to learn to love it. Walmart special, premix, works great. Now, wiring, no issues with the wiring. The tank didn't move. It's just strapped in here. However, one of the things that does suck, and it's kind of why I want to change chassis, this tank setup is so high in the car gets very sketchy when you're taking corners at triple digits, especially with a full tank of fuel. It's, 400 to 500 pounds of extra weight over the axle, literally above it. And you can see, even right now, it's probably at half a tank in the big tank. We're slammed, tuck and tire. And I have Bilstein race shocks, upgraded suspension stuff to support this weight in here, but it's still not enough. It becomes either too stiff when there's no weight in the back, or too soft and too floppy when there is weight in the back. The wheelbase of the car helps, but it's just the car itself, it's still a 2-door, and if we go to something that's maybe a 2-door more sedan and we have a little bit more space, even if it is right-hand drive, then we'll be able to put that fuel in a better location. And also a suspension geometry that'll be more ideal for me to put a heavier load on, just a car that's built for more weight versus a lightweight sports car. So other than those few things, literally didn't have any issues. Radar detector worked great. The Haltech worked great. I made some tuning changes along the way, perks of being the builder, driver, owner, tuner, wirer, having built this whole car myself, having the laptop along to adjust some fueling, make things work, is critical, I think. You have to be able to, if you're going to do a Cannonball, you have to be able to fix your own car. If you can't, then you're putting a lot of trust in somebody else putting a car together that you're pushing it to its limits just to drive it 3,000 miles in one shot. Keep in mind, this car, we didn't change the oil yet after our whole rip, so 6,000 miles, but this car itself, the engine was never cold for 35 hours. And that puts a lot of stress on a vehicle. So it's good to know a lot about the car you're taking, which we know pretty much everything there is to know about RX8s. But otherwise, like I said, it just, these are good cars, guys. They're good cars. A little finicky, cracked airbag cover, the whole deal. It's usual they come like this. But the IC7, the radar detector, JVB1. There's no super special recipe, I don't think. And ultimately, what I said earlier, the only thing I would change is we just got to go try again. I mean, there's nothing real special to making the run. We've got the car for it if we want to keep using this one, which we're not. But you set the car up, you give yourself about 700-800 miles of fuel range, whatever that takes with however much MPG you got. Not that I'm a Cannonball expert here, but I feel like once you have those couple things, it's kind of luck of the draw. Sometimes there's cops, sometimes there's not. Sometimes there's traffic, sometimes there's not. And those are all things you can't control. So we were as prepared as we were, and we got beat. But we'll be back. So with that, I'm going to strip this thing down. I'll show you all the prep, the RX8 prep work that went into the RX8 video. Not so much the Cannonball video here. I'd love it if you guys are subscribed to the channel. We're definitely not giving up on the Cannonball stuff. We're going to do it again. It takes a ton of time. The more the channel grows, the better these videos do, the more chances we're going to get it getting under 30 hours. And ideally, resetting the fastest rotary engine Cannonball run record. So we almost did the last time. We're a few minutes shy to an RX7 in the 80s. But most importantly, other records aside, I personally just want to do it in under 30 because I think that's a rad accomplishment. It's not too fast, but it's not too slow. But also, man, traffic is so bad these days. It's rough. There are cars out there all the time. Even at 3 in the morning, there's still cars. So kudos to everybody who does it faster than us, or who even does a Cannonball run. Like, it's a serious accomplishment to just drive a car that far. It is gnarly out there, and I think timing is going to be one of the most critical parts, and we just haven't found that yet. But we will. So with that, thank you guys so much for watching. Live a life you don't need a vacation from, and keep it rad. Dang. I just find it amusing. I don't think there's anybody in the world that if you showed them this picture right here, you're like, here, RX8, rotary engine, giant turbo, who would believe that this did 6,000 miles without literally turning a single wrench aside from the turbo almost falling off. But other than that, it was still running. It just had a little exhaust leak. Even me, I'm pretty surprised. Stock rear assist like we did last year, like a bone stock RX8. Okay, cool, Mazda designed it. They're smart. I dreamt this up in this shop all by myself. And it works. Peace, guys.